Welcome to a deep dive that promises to challenge some long-held beliefs about the human mind. We're stepping back to the early 20th century today. We're exploring Henry Harrison Brown's really intriguing work, Not Hypnotism, but Suggestion.
Yeah, this is a foundational text. It came out first in 1902, then revised in 1918. And it presents a radically different view of what most people think of as hypnosis.
Right.
It's even pitched as a key to health, success, and happiness, aiming to unlock a pretty profound understanding of how your own mind actually works.
What's immediately striking is that title, isn't it? Not hypnotism, but suggestion. It just screams protest against the usual term.
Absolutely.
So what's really at the heart of Brown's objection? Why fight the word hypnotism? And what does that tell us about the power he thinks is actually inside us?
Well, what's really fascinating is how he immediately challenges that common perception.
No.
Henry Harrison Brown and his background is interesting. He was a Unitarian minister, a newspaper man, a mental healer from way back in 1893. His whole aim was to clarify that these phenomena, the things people were calling hypnotic power, were actually just the natural operations of the subject's own mind, nothing external, really.
So just your own mind working.
Exactly. He explicitly calls hypnosis a misnomer. He says, and this is a direct quote, "Sleep is not necessary to the phenomena, nor to receive benefits from their use."
Interesting.
Which immediately makes you ask, right, if it's not some external power controlling you, then what is going on?
Okay, so let's unpack that. He argues the only power an operator, the hypnotist figure, has is basically the same kind of influence anyone has, a teacher, a salesperson, a friend.
Right, just use consciously, with intent.
Yeah, use consciously. So it's not about giving up control. It's actually about, developing your self-control.
Precisely.
So Brown's first big point, his really powerful insight, is that this subtle power isn't from some mysterious operator.
Nope.
It's woven into each of us. It can only be used by you, on you.
That's the core idea.
And he says, hypnotic phenomena are always present in the everyday life of us all. Which is kind of mind-blowing. And then, since every man is controlled by his own thought, he is in a constant state of self-hypnotism.
Yeah.
If we're really in a constant state of self-hypnotism, what does that even mean for daily life? How does that change how we see influence and control?
Well, that's the absolute pivot point, isn't it? He looks at something like stage hypnotism, the classic "you cannot open your hand" routine.
Right, I've seen that.
And he says that's not external control. It's the person accepting the suggestion, making it their own affirmation. It's their own thought that then keeps the hand shut.
So you're basically telling yourself you can't open it.
Exactly. Your mind is always the one doing the work. It totally redefines control. Brown even says, a man can think whatever he wishes and can make that thought a reality in the objective life.
Wow. That's a huge reframing of how our minds work. So if we're constantly self-hypnotizing ourselves, the next question has to be, how do we consciously direct this? What are the practical tools Brown gives us?
He boils it down to 3 core concepts. He calls them the shibboleth of the new thought. And for listeners, New Thought was a big philosophical movement back then, all about positive thinking, mental healing.
Okay.
So these 3 ones are key: suggestion, affirmation, and concentration.
Suggestion, affirmation, concentration. Got it.
He defines suggestion pretty simply as that which causes a sensation or a thought, just anything that prompts a thought or feeling.
Okay.
Affirmation is a statement of truth. He calls it the subjective side of life, basically what you accept as true internally.
Right.
And concentration, that's the open sesame, the key to inner power, simply one thought at a time. He even calls the ability to choose to concentrate the philosopher's stone.
So it's about choosing what gets in, what shapes our thoughts and feelings, and then really focusing on those choices. He even connects it to Emerson, right? Saying something like, a man for success must have ideas, must obey ideas.
Or he might as well be the horse he rides on. Yeah. It's this foundational idea that we actively shape our reality through our thoughts.
Okay, so Brown boldly says the answer to whether we can control our external world to feel and think how we want is a definite yes, which, honestly, for the early 1900s, that's revolutionary. But maybe sounds a bit simplistic today, given, life's complexities.
It can sound that way. But he argues that most people right now are basically creating their bodies and surroundings from their choices, but they're doing it in ignorance of their power and the laws of mind, especially this law of suggestion.
So we're already doing it, just badly.
Kind of, yeah. He points to things we say all the time, like, oh, if only I'd chosen differently, my life would be so different. We already admit we have some power of choice. His whole point is, why limit it? Realize those limitations are self-imposed. He believes our internal framework significantly shapes how we experience the external world.
So if thinking determines the effect of natural conditions, like he claims, we could literally affirm all is good and turn pain into pleasure, grief into joy. He gives that example of a toothache vanishing when you see the dentist's drill.
Or a pain going away when you get distracted, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds almost magical, but he's pointing to the power of attention and belief.
Right.
And this is where personal agency really comes into focus for you, the listener. Brown says, each person has power, when he knows himself, to choose what he shall feel and think. Otherwise, he is a leaf on an infinite stream called fate.
Choose to be driftwood.
Exactly. And this power, he says, comes from the subconscious, which he equates with the human soul, the ego, your deep self.
Okay.
The conscious mind then directs how that power expresses itself, using the will. So learning how to will, how to consciously direct that inner force, he says that's the most important thing in education.
And if this power is truly internal, it brings up a huge question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What about all those scary stories? Hypnotists making people do bad things in movies, or those sensational news reports.
Right, the dark side.
Brown tackles this head on. And this is maybe one of the most critical parts of his whole work. He insists, absolutely insists, that hypnotism is harmless, that it cannot be used to make someone do evil.
He really doubles down on that.
He calls the idea of hypnotizing someone to commit a crime a groundless fear, a fear that arises in ignorance. Strong words.
Very strong. And he backs it up with evidence from experts of his time. People like T.J. Hudson, Professors Carpenter, Caldwell, Canet, H.L. Flint, and especially Thomas L. Adkin, who was the dean of the New York Institute of Physicians and Surgeons.
Okay, so established figures.
Yeah, and Adkin's testimony is pretty striking. He says, I have hypnotized in public and in private about 15,000 people. I have seen fully 25,000 people under hypnosis in the past 14 years. I have never seen the slightest harmful results.
15,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of practical experience to counter the fear.
It really is. Adkin even adds, I was a subject myself for 5 years, was hypnotized thousands of times, and if harmful results were produced, I am not aware of it.
Wow, okay. And he also highlights that under hypnosis, a person's moral sensibilities are more acute than in the normal state. He gives those anecdotes, right? Like someone refusing to pick up a lizard because it felt wrong, or refusing to go into a saloon for beer.
Exactly. It suggests an enhanced moral awareness, not a diminished one.
So how does Brown explain that? Why would you be more moral? And does that mean there are absolutely zero ways to influence someone negatively?
Well, this is crucial, and it goes back to our inherent self-protection. Brown states it unequivocally. Every suggestion that is repugnant to a person is by him rejected. This principle of self-protection is the most deep-seated in our lives.
So your ear guard is always on duty.
Always. He explicitly says it is utterly impossible for a person to accept another's suggestion to perform an act which his conscience does not approve and which he would not freely do at his own suggestion. Full stop.
Even if someone tried to suggest it telepathically.
Even then. He says those suggestions fall as unnoticed, as harmless as buckshot on an ironclad, if they clash with your will or conscience. So the big takeaway isn't just hypnosis is safe, it's that your own core self, your conscience, your will, they are fundamentally impossible to bypass.
Okay. That really reframes the whole idea of control. The ultimate control always stays with the individual.
Always.
So when we do hear those stories, the press libels, as Brown calls them, about crimes committed under hypnosis,
Yeah.
he argues those are actually cases of autosuggestion, of self-hypnotism. The person was essentially acting on their own unconscious beliefs or desires, not external compulsion.
Which puts the responsibility right back on the individual's internal state, even if unconscious. A powerful reframe indeed.
And this isn't just theory. Brown gets practical. He talks about post-hypnotic suggestions.
Yeah.
Telling someone they'll do something later after they wake up. He says they work the same way. They only stick if they align with the person's own intelligence or conscience. But the bigger lesson, he says, is that any positive seed thought, like a teacher's encouragement or just a kind word from a friend, it sinks into the subconscious and can influence future actions, sleeping or waking.
And this is where you see the huge potential for learning and self-improvement starting to emerge in his work. He emphasizes the healing power of suggestion during sleep is well known.
Okay.
Its possibilities in the cure of habits are beginning to be known. He even makes this, frankly, a pretty astonishing claim for the time, that a mother can essentially sow in the subconsciousness of her child the germ thoughts of any study, can correct any habit, can awaken any slumbering power, and can lead it in the way of her ideal.
That's incredibly revolutionary for the early 1900s. Wow. And he gives examples, right, to show this isn't just pie in the sky thing.
Yeah, practical examples.
Like the person struggling with math who suddenly gets it after being told, while hypnotized, that they were tapped into divine mind and could grasp the law of numbers.
Right. Or the woman finding a lost item while asleep, her subconscious solving the problem.
Or the inventor getting the solution to a tricky machine puzzle.
Yep. The concert performer overcoming stage fright through self-suggestion.
The student writing a poem or story by affirming it before sleep.
The point he's driving home is, in fact, hypnotic and ordinary sleep are identical. They differ only in the way in which they are produced. It's all accessing that deeper level of mind.
Okay.
And he connects this to what he calls materialized will. He uses the analogy of a skilled piano player,
Yeah.
where conscious practice eventually builds nerve pathways, nerve cells which act automatically. The skill becomes embodied, manifested by the will without constant conscious thought.
So your body becomes, what did he say? Materialized experiences, materialized feeling and thought.
Exactly. Your physical reality is shaped by your inner reality.
It's such a powerful analogy. The idea that our thoughts and feelings are constantly physically sculpting us makes you think, what sculpting have I been doing without even realizing it?
Yes.
And Brown brings it all back to harnessing that thought power. He gives specific formulas for self-hypnotism, which are really just affirmations, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. Statements of desired truth.
For everything. Pain, nerves, insomnia, discontent, poverty, fear, bad habits. Gives us that example for fear.
Yeah.
I am fearless. All is good. No evil can come to me.
I am courage. I am guided from within. I can make no mistake. I have banished all fear. I trust myself.
I have confidence in myself. I rely upon myself. I am equal to any emergency. No evil can come near my dwelling. I am fearless. It's quite comprehensive.
It is. And he makes bold promises like the affirmation, my supply is infinite, will cure all poverty when it becomes faith. Believing it makes it real.
What an incredible deep dive this has been. Really digging into Henry Harrison Brown's perspective from, over a century ago. It definitely challenges how we think about control, destiny, our own potential.
It really does.
And he leaves us with that incredibly potent directive, I am that which I think I am. He's basically saying, direct your thought to build according to your desire. Take charge.
And that, for him, is the ultimate art of living. He defines it as to live conscious of one's power, to understand the principle of concentration and apply it, to understand the law of suggestion and make it a servant of will, to affirm each day that which is desired as the only reality.
This is to be an artist in life.
Yeah. And the secret, he says, isn't complicated. It's simply in doing, taking action based on these principles.
So here's something to think about. If all your experiences are registering in your brain, your nervous system, if your body really is in some way materialized feeling and thought, what kind of art of living are you creating right now, maybe without even realizing it? And maybe more importantly, what powerful new piece of art could you start sculpting consciously with focused intention starting today?